So, should you go for Pinery given it's cheaper versus the upcoming east side launches, or are there more value for money opportunities in the market? I would suggest that you set the walk-away price to avoid being too emotional on launch day. This is especially so if you're going for the smaller two-bedders, which experience some weakness in the demand versus supply evaluation. Hi everyone, today must be your lucky day because you managed to chance upon someone's video that has got it right 2 years in a row, where I correctly predicted 𝗵𝗻𝗃𝗃 and Parktown Residence to be the best-selling launch in 2024 and 2025 respectively. In particular, Parktown Residence moved more than 1,000 units on launch day at an average price of 2,360 PSF. No other developments in history has achieved this result. In this video, we are going to review another highly anticipated launch in the East, and it is none other than Pinery Residences at Tampines. Is it worth paying the premium for a mixed development? And is it going to be my top launch of 2026? You need to watch on to find out. By the way, I've been rushing out this video over CNY so that you guys can have first-hand information before the actual launch in mid-March. It's really a lot of hard work, which includes many days of research, analysis, putting them into a deck, scripting, filming, followed by editing. And I know many of you who are watching my video has not subscribed to my channel yet. I know I'm not a 𝗃𝗵𝗱𝗲 and not very handsome, but if my content has helped you in any way, I would really appreciate if you can help me by clicking on the like button and subscribing to my channel. It will really motivate me to continue doing more great videos for you. Thank you so much, and back to the video. In case you are not familiar, I use my IPA framework to guide my clients in evaluating a development holistically based on these 5 factors. Number 1, location and amenities. Number 2, facilities and quality. Number 3, demand versus supply in the area. Number 4, pricing versus surrounding developments. And finally, layout, and an overall score will be given at the end. By the way, I've also compiled a list of all the balanced new launch inventory that might still be worth considering. If you'd like to have a copy of the PDF, feel free to click on the link in the description below and I'll be happy to send it across. Alright, first up, let's evaluate the location of Pinery Residences. The most attractive selling point for this project has got to be its direct connection to the Tampines West MRT via an underground pedestrian link, so no matter rain or shine, you don't have to worry. If you work in the CBD around Telok Ayer MRT, it will only take you 26 minutes via train. If you're going for a holiday, no need to spend money to call taxi because Changi Airport is only 21 minutes away. In addition, as part of the Downtown Line extension, 𝗃𝗵𝗃𝗃 Link and 𝗃𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗃 MRT stations are ready by second half of 2026. Your journey to the East Coast plan will be a lot more convenient. Of course, Easties will be familiar with the surrounding amenities such as IKEA, Tampines 1, our Tampines Hub, Tampines Round Market, and so many more. If you are lazy to travel out, Pinery Mall is right at your doorstep with over 60 retail shops including NTUC, 𝗃𝗵𝗃𝗃, and the childcare centre. In terms of size, it will however be smaller compared to Parktown Mall and Sengkang Grand Mall. If you are into sports and recreation, SAFRA and Bedok Reservoir are just a short walk away. Overall, other than the fact that it is located in Tampines, which is still far from town, Pinery Residences is definitely pretty convenient to go around. As such, I'm going to give it a score of 8.5 for location and amenities. Next up, let's evaluate the facilities and quality factor. Brought to you by 𝗁𝗏𝗃𝗃 Realty and Sunway Property. It is the same collaboration that has developed many highly profitable projects such as 100 Palm Residences, River Cove Residences, and 𝗃𝗶𝗱𝗲 Residences. The development comes with 588 residential units and a provision of about 80% parking, which is very generous considering the development is directly linked to the MRT. In terms of the unit mix, I like the majority of the units consist of 3 and 4 bedders. This means that you'll be getting more owner-occupiers, which is generally good for the demographics and price stability of the development. In terms of the internal landscaping, the developer has conceptualized 3 main zones, namely the Family Oasis, the Play Cove, and the Wellness Sanctuary. In the Family Oasis, you'll be getting a 30 meters family pool, a splash pool, and a kids pool, perfect for your young ones to unwind over the weekend. In the Play Cove, you can find the barbecue pavilion, kids playground, as well as a multi-purpose court. Finally, in the Wellness Sanctuary, residents will get to enjoy the 50 meters lap pool, hydrotherapy pool, and the gym amongst others. Nothing very fanciful and luxurious, but there's definitely something for everyone. Given the above, I'm going to give it a decent score of 7 out of 10. By the way, Pinery Residences will be opening for preview very soon in mid-March. If you'd like to be one of the first few to check out the development, feel free to reach out to me at 94515625 and I'll be happy to show you. Next up, let's look at demand versus supply. For viewers that have been watching my video for some time, you know that I use my very own demand ratio to quantitatively evaluate demand in the area. A high demand ratio will suggest that there is strong demand in the area because there are more units that have already been transacted recently compared to the number of units that are currently still available in the market. The next step is to shortlist the developments that are the most comparable to Pinery Residences, which I've determined to be those in District 16, 17 and 18, as well as within 200 meters of MRT, as more than 300 units, and obtain TOP in 2010 or later. And here are the 7 shortlisted developments. With that in place, I tabulated the overall demand ratio of these developments across the different unit types. And you can see very clearly that the demand ratio comes in extremely strongly at 240% for the 4-bedders and 173% for the 3-bedders. Qualitatively, the bigger units at Pinery will likely also enjoy strong demand from parents looking to enroll their kids in the highly coveted 𝗃𝗵𝗱𝗲 Primary School, as well as a massive pool of more than 4,000 HDB dwellers in the immediate vicinity. However, coming to the 2-bedders, the demand ratio is slightly weaker at 77%. This is mainly due to the poorer numbers at Pasir Ris 8 and Urban Vista. For Pasir Ris 8, given it just obtained TOP not too long ago, there will be many investors looking to offload at the same time. Hopefully with time, we will see the numbers improving. For Urban Vista, I believe the weak performance is more isolated to this development because of its loft designs, which never really gained popularity. Moving on to supply, I'm using the supply ratio, which is the number of listings that are currently on sale divided by the total number of units in the development. In this case, the lower the supply ratio, the better, as it will indicate that there's very little competition in the market. And as expected, we have very low supply ratios across the 4-bedders and 3-bedders at 1.25% and 2.54% respectively. Overall, for the bigger units, it is very clear that demand significantly outstrips supply in the area, hence it's a no-brainer, 10 out of 10 for me. For the 2-bedders, unfortunately the numbers are not so ideal. In particular, I'm more concerned with Pasir Ris 8 with more than 50 listings in the market. If this number continues to remain high, it might suggest that the smaller units at Pinery will have a much harder time to exit down the road. As such, I'm going to give it a more modest scoring of 7 out of 10, so buyers do be very careful with your entry price and unit selection. By the way, I hope you have found the above information useful so far. A number of my YouTube viewers actually prefer to reach out to me in person as they are able to get more real-time and customized solutions based on their requirements. So if you also have burning questions, don't be shy. Feel free to contact me on WhatsApp at 94515625 and I'll be happy to advise further. Alright, back to the video. Next up, let's evaluate Pinery Residences pricing. We don't have the official price from developer yet, but word on the ground is that we are looking at an average of around 2,450 PSF. Using our price gap analysis, let's look at how this compares versus the average prices of Parktown residents and the other surrounding developments we saw earlier. As you will know by now, for the non-harmonized projects, I'll need to adjust their average prices upwards by 6% to take into account the harmonization effect. After which, I calculated what is Pinery's price premium and age gap versus these other developments. Finally, the last column will show you what is Pinery's premium for every 1 year difference in age. And you can see Pinery has a premium of around 49 PSF per year, which is considered borderline reasonable given the typical benchmark of 50 PSF per year, but definitely not a mouth-watering price. In fact, Parktown's pricing still looks pretty attractive to me with a sizable price gap versus Pinery. The thing is, you shouldn't wait for Pinery to launch, fail to get a unit, then go for Parktown. That will be too late because everyone will be doing the same. If you are keen to find out what are the available units at Parktown, you know who to look for. However, the fact that Pinery is located right next to Riviera Tampines EC is more concerning to me, given the EC is expected to launch at a much lower price of 1,850 PSF. Will this affect Pinery's future profitability? Let's look at this from a timeline point of view. As you will know by now, both Pinery and Riviera are launching very soon. This means that most buyers who bought Pinery in 2026 will actually clear their seller stamp duty period by 2030. At this point, Pinery would have obtained TOP and the surrounding HDB cluster will also start to obtain MOP. Hence, you can choose to cash out at this point by targeting HDB upgraders who are looking for a brand new development that is ready to move in. Suppose you don't wish to sell so soon, or if the market conditions are not so ideal, you can also choose to let go in the next 2 to 3 years. This further coincides with the target completion of Changi Airport Terminal 5 and Phase 1 of the 𝗂𝗍𝗲 airbase redevelopment, which should further boost your property's value. Notice that in both potential exit points, 𝗃𝗏𝗍 has yet to obtain MOP, which means you can be assured that it won't be a direct competitor, at least not in the first few years. However, it will become a serious threat in the longer term. On balance, I'll give it a score of 7 out of 10 for pricing. Here comes the bonus segment, and it is to answer the lingering question, is it worth paying the premium for mixed developments? To answer this question, I look at 3 different case studies. First of all, we have Park Colonial versus Woodleigh Residences. Being a mixed development, Woodleigh Residences was priced higher than Park Colonial, even though both were launched at almost the same time, with one on each side of the road. After 8 years, it is Park Colonial that delivered superior returns. In case study 2, we have Florence Residences versus Sengkang Grand with a very similar story. Sengkang Grand, being the mixed development, was priced higher to begin with, and true enough, it generated weaker returns. In case study 3, we have Amo Residence versus Lentor Modern, and again, it is the non-mixed development which emerged the winner. In all 3 scenarios, the mixed development failed to convince, but that was because there was always a cheaper or better alternative in the same area. However, this time round, the alternatives being Vela Bay at Bayshore and the upcoming Bedok Rise Gel asset at Tanah Merah are significantly more expensive, with an expected price of 28xx PSF. So, should you go for Pinery given it's cheaper versus the upcoming east side launches, or are there more value for money opportunities in the market? Feel free to reach out to me at 94515625 and we can discuss further. Finally, coming to layout, I'll be comparing mainly with Rivial Tampines EC right across the road, since it will eventually be Pinery's main competitor when it obtains MOP. Let's first look at their 4 bedrooms side by side. Both developments have a few different configurations, but I chose 2 with the most similar size at 1195 and 1184 square feet respectively for comparison. At first glance, I like that Rivial Tampines has a separate dry kitchen, which is perfect for hosting of friends, and it helps to make the whole living area feels bigger. I also like that they have a separate yard area for very practical reasons. In addition, bedrooms at Rivial are more spacious. Lastly, Rivial's master bedroom is obviously bigger with a walk-in wardrobe concept. Given the above, I'll definitely go with Rivial for this one. Coming to the 3 bedrooms, Pinery stands at 990 square feet while Rivial is at 926 square feet. Even though Rivial is smaller in size, you'll be surprised to find that it can fit an additional study area and have bigger common bedrooms than Pinery. That is because Pinery has wasted space along the entrance, which makes the layout less efficient. Hence, I'll also go with Rivial for this one. Nonetheless, I'm not saying that Pinery's layout is bad, they're actually pretty decent, just that Rivial's layout is even better. For the 2-bedders, we'll be evaluating Pinery's layout independently since Rivial doesn't have 2 bedrooms. Firstly, we have the 2+ study at 700 square feet. I really like this layout because of the enclosable kitchen that is tucked into one corner, a provision for you to store your luggages which is so lacking in most small units, as well as a flexible study room which you can choose to open up if you want a bigger bedroom. This layout approved. Coming to the 2-bed 2-bath at 624 square feet, it is pretty standard with a dumbbell layout for maximum efficiency, good sized bedrooms, as well as a small store provision, so this layout also approved. There is however one layout which I don't quite fancy, and that's a 2-bed 2-bath at 635 square feet. Firstly, the common bathroom is right next to the main door. I mean, the only benefit I can think of is if you are extremely urgent and need to unleash any moment. Bedroom 2 also has a long walkway which seems a bit wasteful. In addition, it has a very small window, which means the room might be quite dark. Finally, this layout is either facing direct west or east, which means you'll be getting direct afternoon sun or morning sun, not so ideal as well. So I'll definitely avoid this one. Having said that, most of Pinery's layout are actually still pretty decent, so I'll give it a score of 7 out of 10. All in all, Pinery Residences is definitely an above average and well-rounded development. However, given its modest scoring for facilities and quality, pricing as well as layout, I'm sad to say it is not my number 1 launch in 2026. So my recommendation is you don't have to go all crazy and FOMO for this development. I would suggest that you set the walk-away price to avoid being too emotional on launch day. This is especially so if you're going for the smaller two-bedders, which experience some weakness in the demand versus supply evaluation. If you'd like to discuss what is a fair walk-away price, feel free to reach out to me at 94515625 and I'll be happy to advise further. Once again, I'm Sean and I'll see you soon.